I'm Prachi. My passion is nutrition and public health. I often travel to villages and slums to meet women just like me, but little unprivileged.
पायलट काय करतो? अरे च्या तुला तर फार माहिती आहे बाबा. हा? आणि तू खातो काय?
मी बटाटा.
The soul of India lives in villages.
कुस्ती करायचं.
This humble woman was making chapatis, talking very openly to us about her family, how the day starts and ends. She also told us about her food habits and daily routine.
सकाळी उठल्यावर काय खातात सगळ्यात पहिले?
काहीच नाही, चहा घ्यायचा.
चहा घेतात. नंतर मग किती वाजता खातात?
10 वाजता.
10 वाजता जेवतात.
हा,
आणि मग रात्री जेवतात नंतर
डायरेक्ट 6ला.
तुम्ही शेतात काम करत जातात मध्ये?
खुडकारी.
अच्छा.
सुट्टी 5ला होती.
She has access to all the food, the chapatis that she's making and the curries that she's making, but she's not feeding herself well. The first thing that goes into her stomach in the morning is a cup of tea, that too without milk, and she's also not having meals at the right time. She eats after 6 p.m. in the day, which is pretty late. So where does she get all the nutrition from? Where does she get all the energy that is required for doing all this work that she is putting in? People like her, who produce food for all of us, may or may not have access to food for themselves. But on the other hand, there are people who have access to good food, but they choose to eat junk.
Urbanization has started entering these villages. I remember when I used to travel these villages 15 years back, they were isolated. But today, I see many construction sites, many shops selling soft drinks and modern snacks.
What do dietary habits do to our health? To understand this, let's look at the DNA, the blueprint of life. Depending upon what, when, and how much we eat, 2 kinds of tags are added to the DNA, the good ones and the bad ones. Since everyone inherits DNA from parents and pass it on to their younger ones, these tags are carried across generations.
Further ahead, this was a small village named Bakori. I was intrigued by this migratory group of people and wanted to see what they eat, when they eat, and do they really know what they are eating.
इसको क्या खिलाती थी पैदा होने के बाद?
इसको पैदा होने के बाद 8-9 महीने तक, 5-6 महीने तक मैं इसका दूध पिलाती थी.
5-6 महीने पिलाया.
हाँ. और फिर थोड़ी बैठने लगी तो मैं थोड़ी चावल है, थोड़ी वो ऐसी सादी दाल है खिलाती. भाजी नहीं हुई तो कोई भी क्या करता, कोई भी किसी के पास मांगती है, कुछ दाल वाल हो कोई.
She said that she has not breastfed her own child for more than 5 to 6 months. When I asked her, would she like to buy fruits for her child? She said yes, but poverty and lack of affordability had defined her food choices.
पर अगर सरकार कोई ऐसी योजना बनाए जिससे तुझे कुछ थोड़ा पैसा मिले, तो तू उस पैसे का क्या करेगी?
क्या करेगी, अपना घर दर चलाए, इतना पैसा रखेगी, थोड़ा जो काम पे लगे वो लेके जाने का, तो वहीं से थोड़ा वापरने का.
पर तुझे पता है क्या, फल खाना ज़रूरी है बच्चों के लिए और तेरे लिए?
क्या करने का, खाना तो जरूरी पड़ता है, लेकिन ना हो तो
क्या करें?
जीव को थोड़ा संभालना पड़ता है।
Some women get good food, but not all. As I move away from Bakori and enter more remote places, I see a isolated vasti, an isolated settlement, which is slightly away from the village, slightly on the hillock. I was fascinated to see Lakshmi wearing a big bindi on her forehead. Told me she is married and she has 3 kids. Looked not more than 18 years old. When we sat together and introduced ourselves, she was very happy to tell us about her. Again, the same sadness in her eyes, but certainly she was unaffected. The intensity was more about acceptance of the things the way they are, and not wanting to change it.
9 वाजता जेवते.
हा
काय असतं जेवणात?
जेवणाला असते पातळच भाजी असते.
दूध पितेस का?
दूध नाही पित.
आणलंय तुम्ही दूध घरात आणता?
नाही
आणतच नाही. किती दिवस झाले आणलं नाही?
नाही पहिल्यापासून नाही आणलं.
कधीच आणलंय दूध?
नाही.
पिलंच नाही.
नाही
जेव्हा गरोदर होते तेव्हा पण पिलं नाही दूध कधीच?
नाही पिलं.
When I asked her about her dietary habits, actually I wasn't surprised. She also had in her own language Kali chai, that's black tea. Not because she liked black tea, but because there was no milk. They never consumed milk.
बरं, आणि मग बाळांचा कसा आहार आहे? तू तिघा बाळांना काय खाऊ घालते?
त्यांना देते असंच खायला. दूध नाही खात. बिस्किट कुरकुरे खातात.
कुरकुरे कोणाला आवडतात?
ये बारकीला
कुठून आणतात कुरकुरे?
दुकानातून.
This was a mother sitting in front of me, not knowing her own age, not knowing the birth weight of her own children.
ते म्हणले एवढे बारीक.
तपासण्यामध्ये काहीतरी
रक्त खूप कमी होतं ना,
हां.
मग रक्त भरायला सांगितलं.
But what she was knowing was that she was anemic during her 3 pregnancies. Meeting women like Lakshmi makes me refuse to accept the way world is. I cannot accept that 3,000 children die due to undernutrition in India per day, and 60% of women are still anemic. Lakshmi was a case of malnutrition. The effects of malnutrition so severely seen in the women and her children, right in front of me. One of them cannot even walk. Lakshmi says she doesn't want to bother right now, eventually she'll walk. She doesn't want to go and see the doctor and doesn't even realize the severity of it. Her own daughter will be another Lakshmi in few years. And another Lakshmi which will come from her daughter will again be like this Lakshmi. Nikita, a young adolescent girl, was living in one of the kacha houses, neighbors of Lakshmi. She was a painter, let me tell you. Can I say that she was a past of Lakshmi? Maybe Lakshmi began like Nikita. Or will Nikita end up like Lakshmi? She was thin, frail. Nikita was a very hard-working girl. She carried 8 pots of water every day home, cooked, cleaned and washed before she went to her school. But her meal was little as if it would come on the palm.
Do we realize how the lack of a good diet can harm not only us but also our future generations. An interesting experiment was conducted on rats. The experiment included undernourishing rats for over 50 generations, and these undernourished rats were given exactly half the amount of protein in their diet, which led to mimicking a situation that has happened in developing countries like India over the last several generations. The rats having history of undernutrition were shown to be prone to non-communicable disorders such as diabetes and obesity, suggesting that even in coming years, population in India that have a history of undernutrition would also be prone to similar non-communicable disorders. But there is a relief. What has changed because of undernutrition are those various tags that are being added to your DNA. Albeit slowly, these tags can be reversed because of change in your lifestyle.
Irony is that the good food like chapatis, rice and vegetables, which was once a backbone of the Indian food system, has become prescription today. I eat for my body and less for my taste.
The main reason for the alarming rise in the incidence of non-communicable disorders in India is the lack of proper diet and exercise. Change in lifestyle is the key. Diet alone can cause profound changes in our body over a short period of time. The most striking example of this in nature is honeybees. Bees have a complex society ruled by a queen. All the bees in the hive contain the same genetic material as the queen bee. But the bee that consumes the royal jelly grows up to 40% larger and becomes the queen. The remaining bees achieve the fate of a worker. Remember, the only differing factor here is nutrition. Food is undoubtedly the most important factor of everything that we experience in our lifetime. And that's precisely why we are what we eat.